Welcome to the Perky Keller radio show. I'm your host, David M. Frankel, and today my guest is Matthew Lake, and he is the founder of the Lake Group Realty, and that's powered by Keller Williams. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So tell us a little bit about why you got started in real estate. To give you a little background, Matt and I used to work together at Web.com in Valentine, and we basically help people get found online with social media and online presence. And we both have left Web.com since then, and I ventured off to do my own business with Perky LLC, the clothing innovation company, and Matt's went into real estate. Probably much more lucrative than the clothing innovation company.
Not necessarily.
So tell us tell us about the leap of faith and what inspired you to get started in real estate.
Yeah, so my inspiration to get into real estate kind of goes back to my childhood, where I witnessed my father sort of take opportunities with real estate and subdivide land and build new houses and sell those for profit, or sometimes move into houses and upfit them and sell those for profit. So I guess maybe that's where I caught the bug, or caught some of the experience that we're practicing now. That's kind of where the inception of everything was. Fast forward.
How old were you then?
Oh man, I was
first exposed to it?
Probably 11 years old,
So
on
middle
up
school.
to about a teenager. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the inception of the motivation, probably, that I can point back to now. If I fast forward to the moment that you just talked about, we were at Web.com and we're thinking about entrepreneurial spirit and all of those things. I think, reconnecting back to the past and then thinking about some of the experiences we've had in commercial real estate and so on and so forth. My wife and I decided that it would be great for us to be able to service people that we knew and associates that we had, in terms of helping them find and achieve their goals on residential real estate, so that we could be full owners of our own business as well. So,
Excellent.
Yeah, that's how we got into it, and we do get a lot of satisfaction out of helping folks to make that transition, whether they're transitioning down in life in terms of getting to a certain age where they want to have less to worry about, or if it's a young family that's looking to grow up into a house, or if it's investors who are looking to invest in properties, whether that be for rental purposes or perhaps for renovation purposes, to invest in the home and then turn it for a profit.
Okay.
So we help out with all of those types of needs and have clients in all of those areas.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the viewers and listeners are curious about real estate, and maybe they don't necessarily want to leave their full-time job just yet, but
Right.
want to tinker at real estate. So what would you recommend the first step be?
Yeah, tinkering in real estate is tough to do. It's really something that requires full-time dedication,
Okay.
no matter where you're coming from, unless you're coming perhaps from the investment side. But if you're looking to get into real estate from a brokering side and assisting people in their transactions and consulting with them on making smart real estate decisions, I think at the end of the day, it really does require full-time dedication. It's not something that you can really focus on in a part-time capacity,
Okay.
because there's quite a bit of information, especially in your first couple of years, that you really need to get under your belt. And the only way that you can do that is actually practicing within the business and having great mentors. With our firm at Keller Williams, we have a mentoring program, and so when we came into the business several years ago, we had the great opportunity to work with some great folks who really kind of helped us up along the way and gave us a leg up and made us successful and told us everything that we needed to know in real time as we were handling transactions. And of course, all of that sticks and becomes part of our business model as well, in terms of how we focus on ethically and enthusiastically serving everybody that we can, and doing it the right way. So we're not looking to push people into a house or out of a house.
Sure.
It's about serving the need that they have specifically for their housing arrangements, and seeing how we can work in tandem with that need to help them to achieve the goal. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And walk us through the leap of faith, so to speak. As far
Yeah.
as the license you have to acquire, how long
Sure.
does it take for schooling, how long before you kind of get your first deal, I know
Right.
a lot of it has to do with just getting out there and building a book of business,
Right, right.
getting those referrals and so on and so forth. Kind of walk us through like that first 3 months, 6 months that you
Sure.
decide to go into your own practice.
Yeah, it's actually something that isn't common knowledge. Everyone thinks that you can just sort of go get your license and you'll be, instant millionaire real estate agent. It doesn't work like that. You do go through a process of about attending roughly about 80 hours of pre-licensing education,
Okay.
and you have to pass a state or a class exam and then a state exam, which are both pretty tough. From there, once you get that done,
What's that time frame? Just to give us an idea.
that time frame is roughly about anywhere as short as 6 weeks, and it could be as long as 6 months, depending upon the curriculum that you signed up for, depending
Okay.
upon the school that you chose. But you can get it done in 6 weeks.
And during that time, can you work full time, or you need to be fully dedicated to the classes?
You really probably need to be at least half-time dedicated to the classes.
Okay.
I think I was able to pull it off to where I was working full-time and was able to get my license done, but it was a real tough struggle to get that done. It wasn't easy. So it's not impossible, but
Okay.
just depends on one's own individual desire to get it done, I think. And if you have a strong desire to move forward with this, then it's something that I do think you can do if you did have a job. But hopefully you don't get to the point where you're letting down your current employer because of it
Sure.
either. So if you're able to keep all of those balls in the air, then
Tough to
sure,
juggle.
why not?
It all depends on how many hours of sleep you need to have as well.
Right, exactly. You need sleep to function, and you do need to, do a lot of studying, a lot of testing, and keep testing yourself over and over again. And that's really how you become successful in passing that first hurdle.
Okay.
From there, once you pass that first hurdle, of course, you go take the state exam, and assuming that you've passed that, there are about 90 hours of post-licensing education that you must now get into place within the first 3 years, so essentially 30 hours per year.
Okay.
You can do that all at one time, or you can do it in sequential year-over-year situation there where you do 30 hours per year.
Okay.
So just depends on how quickly you'd like to become a full broker so that you can start managing some of the transactions a little bit more independently without so much need for someone looking over your shoulder, for
Okay.
example. So you do that. You need to affiliate yourself with a successful firm, and there's all kind of different concepts and ideas around, how you should choose that. Some people are focusing on splits. Some people are focusing on the education that they receive, because really when you're in real estate school, you learn all of this legalese and theory around how real estate works, and actually has nothing to do most of the time in how to sell real estate. It does keep us within our lane contractually and legally in terms of how transactions should be handled, but it has nothing to do with the salesmanship or the consultation component that really goes into servicing the client.
Okay.
And understanding how this process needs to work for the benefit of our clients, and not just looking to sort of sell a product per se, but understanding that there's going to be emotion involved and all of those things. And
Sure.
so there's some real helpful information that some firms provide, like we were able to get from the firm that we're affiliated with Keller Williams South Park, which is a great group of people, and again, a lot of good mentors that we have there. If you're able to, sort of achieve all that information and take it forward and put it to practice, I think it's something that if you have good relational skills, you can be successful with.
Okay. So that brings me to the point of how do you figure out who you're going to work for, as far as which group you're going to be powered by?
Right.
I think of real estate companies off the top of my head. I think of Remax. I think of Allen Tate. I think of Keller Williams.
Sure.
At least here in the Charlotte market. Obviously, there's some other ones out there.
Yeah.
Do they pursue you? Do you pursue them once you have your license? How does that all work out?
It's kind of like a combination of both, actually. You probably get a bunch of postcards in the mail requesting your interest in their firm,
Okay.
but it obviously comes down to sitting down with each one of the team leaders at those firms and finding out what's going to be important to you, and finding out whether they're a fit for what's important to you as a broker and as a realtor. Also finding out what it is their culture is like, and understanding their philosophy in business, and whether or not there's a support system in place to help you to grow your business, or whether it would be more of a competitive environment where you feel like, you're working against everybody else.
Right.
You definitely want to be in an environment where you're going to be able to get support, because it's obviously a daunting task to take on a new business, as you know, right?
Sure.
To become successful at being an entrepreneur. And so when you're doing something like this, I think you need all the help that you can get and support that you can get with information, because there's so many details. A lot of people think that realtors or brokers, their job is to open up doors and show the home and, hey, do you like it? Great. Let's sign here and we're done.
Right.
It's complete opposite of that. There's so much that goes into what professional real estate agents do to facilitate the search, to guide them on the process with the financing, and partnering them up with a reputable lender who understands their financial profile and can satisfy their financial needs. It's working with the attorneys, working with the mortgage broker, working with the buyer agent or seller agent, depending upon which side of the transaction you're on, closing coordinators and paralegals, and there's paperwork flying back and forth every which way, left and right.
Right.
So we kind of are the controllers of all of that information, and making sure that it's properly organized, that it's, all the boxes are checked as they should be checked, and that everything is done ethically and legally, and that we're also protecting the best interests of our client that we're representing, to make sure that they're not being taken advantage of, or that something is slipping through the cracks that's going to cause them to lose money.
Sure.
Right. So
That makes sense. So can you give our viewers and listeners maybe a top 5 if they just passed their real estate license, and the top 5 things maybe you use to determine which company you're going to represent, which company was going to power your business? Would it be the Remax or the Keller Williams or the Allen Tates of the world? Is there a criteria you followed to go through? Obviously, you interviewed several different companies, I assume.
Right, absolutely. I think it would be identifying talent at that firm, someone that you can aspire to.
Is that number 1 or number 5?
I would say number one, because if you're
Identify
not,
talent.
if there's not successful people at that firm, and if you can't, maybe you should maybe you should call me and let me take a look and see what their production looks like, and I'll tell you.
Right.
And to make sure that there are successful realtors there, because in any business, if we put on a good face, we can appear to be successful, but
Sure.
the success is truly in the numbers in our business, right?
Okay.
Or in any business, really. And
Sure.
so I would first want to see what the production of that firm looks like. I'd want to know that there's talent there, that would be willing to share their experiences. I'd also, probably as a secondary item, want to know that there's great training.
Okay.
And so one of the reasons why we chose the firm that we're with right now is because of the ongoing training that they provide, which is essentially part of the full package that we're a part of with them. So a lot of that training is free. Some of it is not, but the majority of it is. And if you want to get into a system where you can understand how to take transactions from start to finish, or how to prospect for clients, or how to survive as a business, then I think that's important, because you can go for the concept of paying for leads, but unless you have significant equity to put on the table to say, okay, we're going to spend X amount of thousands of dollars per month, or hundreds of dollars at least per month to start to generate leads coming in, so that you can now try to filter through and scrub those leads and work with those folks to get to the result of business.
Sure.
Then at the end of the day, you need to be able to take on that risk with full knowledge, and knowing that, hey, I'm going to have to spend this much money for X amount of months before I could see my first deal. If you want to get to a point where you can learn how to generate business on your own using your contacts, your sphere of influence, and making phone calls to the people that you know and letting them know what you're doing and how you do it, and not being afraid to do that. It might seem daunting if you've never been in sales before, and I guess
that's the grind. That's the definition of a grind.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that you mentioned about our experience together, working in selling social media and online presence with Web.com was that, part of our day-to-day job was getting in touch with people, whether we knew them or not, knocking on their door or opening their door and introducing ourselves and letting them know that we had an opportunity that they might want to be in the know of. So I think that also kind of helps in what we do, because we're constantly creating new relationships and talking to new people all the time. And so if you're a relational person, then it might be super easy, and if you're not, then it might take some practice.
Right.
Both types of personalities can probably achieve it with the right amount of practice.
Okay. So number one is find a group that has great talent.
Yep.
Number two, have a group that has great training.
Right.
Was there a 3 and a 4 in there, just to kind of keep it bullet point?
As far as when you're selecting a firm?
Selecting a firm.
I think probably anyone might want to consider what their
it was
their
leads leads in there. Is that number 3? Or they give the leads to you, or they have a...
Yeah, so you can look at it two ways. If you're going to be an independent broker and say I'm going to self-generate my own leads and worry about generating my own business, then that's one aspect. You can also look at the concept of joining a team where leads would be provided for you, which actually I wouldn't shy away from. It might be a recommendation actually to get onto a successful team and learn the business. You're obviously going to give up a little bit more of your business revenue doing that, but you're going to have a more consistent, steady flow of business and learn what you need to learn. And then at some point down the line, you can probably say, okay, I'm ready to fly solo on my own, or maybe you like the system that you're in and it works for you, and you value your downtime as much as you work hard. And so it depends on what type of operation you're looking to be a part of in your day-to-day.
Okay. So ultimately, I think with any business, when they provide leads to you, it's easier.
Right. Sure.
But because it's easier, you're also getting less commission on those deals.
Exactly.
But to go out and find your own leads is much tougher. For a lot of people, it's outside their comfort zone.
Right.
A lot harder work. But the reward is that you get a higher commission because you found the lead, you close the lead.
Exactly.
And then you just got to work your tail off to get referrals.
Right.
To make that one hard sale or that one difficult acquisition as beneficial as possible.
Right. Exactly.
I'm sure the same thing goes with referrals on the leads that are provided to you by the company.
Right.
Referrals become crucial.
Right.
Is there anything that we want to wrap up on that top 5 things you'd ask for from a company?
As far as a company is concerned, I think making sure that the company has good brand awareness and a good reputation. So, for example, Keller Williams recently, in the last couple of weeks, has now become the #1 real estate company in the world.
Wow.
So
congratulations.
That's not a bad thing to be affiliated with, right?
Sure.
When you're now taking the #1 spot. So
that goes back to the first thing, which is talent.
Right, exactly.
If you don't have talent, you're not going to be #1 in the country.
Exactly.
Or world in that case.
Right. At the end of the day, it still comes down to the individual and creating opportunities for yourself or being capable of turning even leads that are given to you into successful opportunities and being serviceable and understanding how to serve the needs of the client. But if
on their schedule, not your schedule, a lot of times too.
Yeah, exactly.
The flexibility.
It can be tough, right? But if you can work out a system and a schedule to work that in and to be successful at it, at the end of the day, an individual is a big part of what they do. The brand is sort of a complement to what you do. So I think I would suggest to always keep in mind that you're the self-generator of your own business when you're in business for yourself and you're an entrepreneur. But at the same time, being affiliated with a good brand or creating a good brand, even if you decide to be an independent broker and start your own brokerage, I think that's important as well. Presentation means a lot in this business. So
excellent. I think it's great tips. So now the big part of the entrepreneur section is, what have you done that was really hard that you're glad you did it and it took you to where you want to be now? So kind of share with us not really a low point, but just a point that was really tough for you that may have been outside your comfort zone a little bit. Because I think one of the biggest keys to success as an entrepreneur is doing things that are outside your comfort zone.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people do the 9-to-5 job because it's easy, it's comfortable, it's what they're used to.
Right.
But to take that leap of faith and have your own practice does require some things outside your comfort zone. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was all that's been easy for you or comfortable for you.
No, it's not. So I mean,
give us an example of something that took you outside your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, as long as you got a Perky collar on for one, that's
step one.
And you look good, right?
Right. That wasn't even paid for either. That was all impromptu.
Right. But no, I mean, keeping yourself in good business shape and prepared and ready and studying all the time and taking in new knowledge about challenges that other people have gone through. And then when those challenges do come up, again, people unfortunately get very emotional in a real estate transaction because it involves the roof over their head that they have now or that they're about to have. And so people, get quite, volatile in terms of how you see them react. They're not taking it out on you per se, but you're witnessing them kind of going through the motions. And so things like title problems can come up at the end of a transaction if someone has not checked every single box or something that was undiscoverable essentially throughout the process until the last minute. Sometimes things can threaten the deal at the end, and you've got multiple parties who are scheduled for moving out of one house, and someone's ready to move in, and moving trucks are on deck and everybody's ready to go, and then there's some last minute thing. I would say 99% of the time those problems are always solvable and achievable, but having any kind of snag that comes along, and there will always be snags. There's no such thing as a perfect business deal. There's no such thing as a perfect real estate transaction. There's so many moving pieces that we always try our best to stay on top of every aspect of them, but there's things that sometimes we can't control. We can't control what other people do or how they react when we're not representing them, and so those types of interruptions sometimes can obviously cause stress and challenges, and you start to wonder whether or not your own the safety of your client situation is at stake, or perhaps even your own income is on the line if this deal doesn't go through. So I think it's just a matter of always staying cool. There's usually a solution that can be had, and points right back to having great mentors and people who have been in the business for years and years that you can call upon to say, hey, have you ever had this situation happen before, and get their advisement on it. So
step one is don't panic.
Right.
What are the situations? Go to the mentor and say, here's what's going on.
Right.
How can you help me through this situation?
Never panic. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Never panic. And we tell our clients, you can't panic unless you see us panic. So, so we make it a point to never panic.
So it's more of the proactive versus reactive mindset.
Exactly.
Is really crucial in real estate.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yep.
And is there any great highlight we can share, kind of wrap up the interview? But is there a highlight you'd like to share? A great moment? Obviously, maybe you had a tough sale and it finally worked out, or a family that had a tough buying criteria,
right?
And you finally found the perfect house for them.
Yep.
And they're super excited, and
Yeah, I mean, I'm going through
it stands out in your mind as just being a great experience. And you're so glad you got in the business because of this one transaction, or just because of the family that you're part of with Keller Williams.
Yeah. We have those experiences all the time. We had a couple that we worked with just a couple of months ago who, have become great friends of ours now, and they had made a couple of attempts to sell the home with other brokers or as a for sale by owner, and unfortunately didn't achieve the success that they were looking for. A lot of it really comes down to the personability of service that you get, and sometimes not everybody in our business is going to go the extra mile to try to make sure that something happens for their client. Maybe they have a ton of clients, and so they can only be transactional about it. Obviously everybody wants more business. We try to find the balance between the amount of business that we have and the amount of service that we can provide. And as we scale and grow, we're adding team members and outsource services to help facilitate and make sure that we're never dropping the ball. But in this particular case, we were able to come in and show them exactly what needed to be done as it pertained to staging and presentation and marketing. And within 7 to 10 short days, had them an offer that was higher than any of the asking prices that they had attempted before with the previous brokers or on their own, and was able to net them a higher amount in terms of what they were able to walk away from the table with, and also assisted them in finding a great townhome as they were downsizing and kids had gone off to college and no longer needed this big, huge house. So we're able to seamlessly help them to sell their home that was unsuccessfully sold several times and taken up the better part of a year of their life. So they were so relieved to, have this opportunity to achieve the success and to be able to move forward and transition and to know that this issue is no longer going to be something that they're dealing with every day. And I mean, those are the kind of things that I think, we've got dozens of those cases, but that's just one recently that sticks out that, it gives us great satisfaction to know that we've been able to help people make those types of transitions in their life and create good friends along the way. So
that's excellent.
Yep.
And I got to think that if your house has been on the market for a period of time, it just won't sell.
Right.
You come in, all of a sudden get a contract. That's got to be a great feeling.
It's
for
a
that
great
seller.
feeling. Yeah.
And then turn around and find them the house they really want.
Right.
It's got to be another great feeling. So it's like, I got a contract in your house.
Yeah.
That's got to be like number one pump up feeling. But number two is they accepted the contract that you offered. They accepted your offer.
Right.
And that's got to be the second high of your day for that same client.
Exactly.
Which is fantastic.
Yep.
So, well, great. Well, thank you so much for being here. Any last minute comments or tips or anything you want to add to the interview that we maybe I overlooked or didn't think of?
At the end of the day, if anyone has interest in learning more, I'm sure I'll be tagged in the Facebook post. Just reach out to me through Facebook or give me a call and look me up online. Be happy to talk to you, whether it's about your real estate needs or about your interest in a career in real estate. Either or, we'd be happy to talk to you and give you any information that we can share.
Okay, and how can they find you? Is there a website, phone number?
You can go to
email address.
Yeah, absolutely. www.lakegrouprealty.com, or you can call me at 980-298-1440. Again, that's 980-298-1440.
Excellent. And again, you're watching the Perky Keller Radio Show. I'm your host, David M. Frankel. Today, my guest, Matthew Lake, with the Lake Realty Group, and powered by Keller Williams. And I appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have yourself a great day. Thanks for watching.
Take care.